Okay, so how old do you need to be to play the piano or even whatever instrument? We may have grown thinking that there is an age limit, okay, that if you are, well, for example, when I was a little kid, I remember I wanted to study piano. I had the opportunity to start studying music until I was 14. And for some people, it was already too late, right? Some people, some teachers um, said it's just too late. I mean, he will never make it as a concert pianist, or he will never be able to really become a professional musician of the highest level. And of course, thanks to God, I didn't agree. And I was actually able to find good teachers that actually just, didn't matter about me being 14 and just taught me music. Okay, this mentality of having to be very young to study music is, of course, certainly true in certain ways. Of course, if you start to play the piano when you are 2 years old, definitely by the time that you will be, I don't know, 15 or 16, you will definitely have already developed many of the abilities to be able to be a great musician. But it's not necessary at all. It's not true that you cannot learn after a certain age. Certain things I even find that are easier for an adult or for an older person to learn than for a little kid, simply because we can make certain connections and certain things that many times the kids, the children, learn by instinct maybe, or just by in a more natural way. That's true and that's fine, but they don't have many times the ability that we adults have to relate and to connect with many other things. So the straight answer to this question, how old do you need to be to play an instrument or to start playing an instrument, uh, is that there is no age, honestly. I have had students that come to me when they are very little kids, and then I start, of course, with pieces with one note, two notes, and after sometimes they become very very good at playing. After, I don't know, 4 years, 5 years, they are already playing, let's say, hard pieces by, or let's say intermediate pieces by Beethoven, Chopin, etc. Right? But I have also had cases. I had one particular case in Venice some years ago. There was this older lady, older woman who was 73 years old, and she came to me and she said, "Okay, I want to play piano, and I want to play classical music, and I love Mozart, right?" And perfect. I don't like to say no to someone that wants to learn music, since music is one of the big presents that we have from life, from God, if you may want to think so. And I just said, okay, no problem. We will so then work on you becoming able to play the piano. And we started to have one lesson, one time a week, every week for around 3.5 years. We worked one lesson a week. She was practicing 2 hours a day, and by the end of this process of 3 years and a half, more or less, after that I recommended her to a new teacher because I had to move from that place and etc. But so what happened was that actually, with the discipline of practicing 2 hours a day in a very good way that I was advising to her, she was able to play already hard pieces. She was playing. Um, I remember that one of the last things she was playing was the sonata in A minor by Mozart, the one that has the famous rondola turca at the end. And she was happy with her playing. I was happy with her playing. Of course, she was older after a couple of years. I remember she was 76 by the end of our journey together. And so that's it. That's of course very strict, direct demonstration of how it's not true that you have to start at any specific age. It's a matter of you gathering the information that may help you to play better, the instruments that you put together in order to understand music. There is another very famous case of this young pianist who started kind of very old, and he went recently to, I believe it was one of those main piano competitions, maybe Van Cliburn, and he started. Well, he actually started kind of young. After that, he left for many years the music, and after that, he came back and he was participating to, I believe it was Tchaikovsky competition, in which you have to have a lot of repertoire, a lot of very hard pieces, and he did actually very well. I think he was, among the finalists or something like that. Again, demonstration of music just being something that you can study or learn at any stage of your life. I believe one of the most important things to learn piano when you are not super young is, of course, to be very aware of the discipline you have to have. Okay, if you are going to become the greatest concert pianist of all times, you have to practice a big deal of hours. A big part of your day has to be dedicated to only the study of piano, like an athlete, has to dedicate a long time to become as good as he can. And in whatever discipline, of course, if you want to become the best or a very prepared person, you have to, of course, dedicate a lot of time. Okay, but in general, I think that if you have, you, the, my what I'm trying to say is that actually you have to have a connection between your expectation as a musician and the amount of hours that you can dedicate, and of course the organization that you can have in order to become the best, of course, of yourself. For instance, your idea is, I don't know, to play maybe in church every Sunday. You want to accompany at the organ, for example, the service, and there are a couple of songs that you know well by ear, and basically they repeat, in every 2 3 services you have more or less the same pieces. Of course, you can dedicate certain amount of hours to that, if those are your expectations, right? I don't know, maybe you can make it with 1 hour. Of course, this is also super relative. There are people that I have had 3 weeks of lessons, and they already have learned a big amount of things. Or sometimes you can dedicate 6 months and you get a person to learn what basically the other person learned in 3 weeks, okay? Which is also fine. There is not a way of measuring what is better. Of course, in life we are now used to, everything has to be fast, and as fast as it happens is best or is better. And that's not necessarily true. I, for example, had a student which was very complicated. She was around maybe 12 years old. She didn't want to study music. Her parents were making her study music, and she came to me and I said, okay, listen, how come do you want to study piano? And she told me, I don't want to. Okay. And I said, okay, so why are you here? And she told me, well, my parents want me to. Okay. And it was very funny because I literally decided not to teach her at the beginning how to play the piano. She came to lesson. Of course, the parents were thinking I was doing a regular, normal lesson. But what I did was dedicated around 6 months to simply play for her, to simply make her understand how the piano worked. Even sometimes to just talk about music or talk about aspects of life that she liked. Really, it was a very complex, in certain ways, process. But after 6 7 months, more or less, she told me, well, I would like to play this piece that you sometimes play for me. And I said, sure, if you want to, we can definitely do it. It turned to be one of the fastest students that I have ever had. She was playing, again, the Rondola Turca. After 1 year of playing, she was playing Fiorellis. After around 1 year and a half, and she just became one of my best students. She of course started to dedicate more time, and she got just in love with the piano in that way. So again, it's very important for you to measure your expectations with the instrument. Like I said at the in the video before, um, maybe you want to play for church and you can dedicate 1 hour a day. 1 hour, why not every 2 days, and it will be fine. Maybe you are already 50 years old, have studied your whole life a little bit of music. Maybe you know how to play other instruments, and now you want to get more serious because you want to play certain piece that you have always dreamed of playing, and that's also fine. You measure what you want to be in music with the amount of hours that you can dedicate or that you want to dedicate. Of course, there is no secret in this. The most time you dedicate to something, the best you will get at it. This is quite obvious. An example that we usually love to give uh, is that one of music and art being like a lover, right? Uh, and very in a very fair way, right? If you dedicate a lot of time, quality time, that will definitely come back to you in in some way. Okay. The opposite, if you don't take care of it, if you don't practice for 1 week, if you start to practice less concentrated, if you start not giving good quality time to your instrument, to your again, to your painting, to your art, it will definitely also give you back that. You will see the negative results happening. And so, again, the advice would be to always maintain it as a very good, beautiful, strong relationship in which you never lose the connection, in which you are always giving the best you can in matters of time, in matters of quality. So again, don't be afraid of approaching music at any age. There is no, of course, I made this video with this title, but there is no that real answer for it, or the real answer would be there is no age limit for music. You know, music is for all at any ages, and at any age, if you work hard, you can, of course, do something that will be very good. You will be able to get a good product of your work, of course. With patience and everything, you can dedicate time, and definitely you will have results. Of course, if you are a parent and you want your kids to become good at music, and they want to become good musicians, or they have this kind of interest in music, of course my advice would be to start as soon as possible. Now there are schools that even you can send your kids to study since they are maybe 1 year old, 2 years old, you know. And it's true that maybe of our big geniuses that we have now as the greatest musicians, it's true that some of them have started at very young ages. One would be definitely Glenn Gould, Evgeny Kissin, are people that started really, really, really in early ages. Well, we have some other people that started a lot older, like Sviatoslav Richter didn't start when he was very young at all. And like this, you know, there are just simply different ages in which you can start. The important thing is to love music, to get in contact with it, and if you have a passion for music, to please get as soon as you can close to music, and as close as you can to music. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you have anything to share with us, please do so. And I hope you like the video. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and we will appreciate it very much. Thank you, and see you next time.